Today is Wednesday, February 9th, 2022, and this is the Social Skills Coaching Podcast brought to you by Patrick King Consulting and Newton Media Group. From Patrick King's book, The Independent Thinker, we delve into the subject of perspective. What is perspective? Well, we know it isn't reality. It represents your subjective and unique worldview, but it's not objective. It's not reality. And it's destined to be skewed in terms of your experiences. Some experiences are solidified into what are known as schemas and heuristics, which are the frameworks you use to organize and understand the world. One trick in dealing with perspectives appropriately is to learn how to incorporate as many as possible. Let's learn more.
Now that we've articulated that feelings aren't facts, it's time to discuss another instance where your first impression will lead you astray. It's also another instance that can be characterized as what you see is not what you get. We can begin with a fable of sorts that you may have heard before. It's the fable of the 6 blind men and the elephant. These 6 blind men happened to surround an elephant one day. How they ended up there is not important, but if you require a backstory, pretend that they're on a surprise field trip with their Scrabble team. Now, elephants are quite large, which means each blind man was situated at a different part of the elephant. One by one, they reached out to the part of the elephant that was nearest to them: the knee, the side, the tusk, the trunk, the ear, and the tail. What followed was mass confusion. Even though it was one animal, each man had only his sense of touch to discern what he was standing by. From the descriptions they each gave, it was as if they were standing in completely different ecosystems, much less touching a different animal. An elephant ear can feel like the wing of a bat. The side can feel like a rhino. The tusk can feel like a building. And the trunk can feel like a tree trunk swaying in the wind. 6 different positions yielded 6 different perspectives. The thing is, none of these blind men were actually wrong, but their perspectives were limited by what they could feel in their positions, to the point that they ended up being incredibly wrong about the elephant's overall appearance. Perspective is not reality. It's just your perspective, and you must gain a 3-dimensional view of a situation or decision in order to be able to think clearly about it. Whether you want to admit it or not, we are all some version of the 6 blind men, only feeling what's in front of us and not being able to conceive of what we might be missing. For a more direct illustration, just imagine that for 2 people standing across from each other, the number 6 drawn in chalk at their feet is also a 9. Or is it the other way around? There's no right or wrong way to perceive a given situation or object. Our ideas, images, and opinions of life are all subject to molding through our experiences. Nobody has a foolproof, 100% objective way to perceive reality accurately. However, there is a complete way to view things, and it necessarily involves as many perspectives as possible. Take a man and a woman standing outside of a motel in the middle of the afternoon in slightly disheveled clothes. Some of us would have 0 impression because we're too distracted and busy. A moral crusader might assume that they were having an afternoon fling that's intended to be kept secret from their significant others. Someone who works in an adult industry might be so desensitized to such a sighting that it barely registers to them at all. Meanwhile, someone who works as a travel agent may not even consider what the couple were doing in their room. They'll wonder how much they paid for the room and what rating they would give it. And the motel housekeeper probably just cares about how much of a mess they're going to clean up. The point is, we can take a moment as minuscule and unimportant as this one and run with it, making assumptions, predictions, or judgments that may be completely inaccurate simply because of what we know, or, more accurately, what we think we know. We do this based on our character, values, and experiences, and it's a natural and nearly unpreventable thing to do. But it's not reality. Any number of things shape our interpretations of events and situations of the world. Our religious, political, or philosophical leanings can shape how we see the world. So can our childhood upbringings. So can drugs or alcohol usage. So can the media. So can our social or institutional environment. So can our fondness for cats or dogs. So can whether we prefer books, movies, or television. It can be literally any kind of influence, whether we're aware of it or not. Individual perspectives can also come from what are known as schemas and heuristics. They're both psychological concepts that serve to organize what we know about the world and facilitate quick decision-making. Schemas. A schema is a model by which we arrange and decipher the information we're currently receiving. It allows us to say, okay, based on these three factors I can observe, I know what this is. Imagine a schema as a snapshot of a certain situation, and using that snapshot to arrange unfamiliar information. A schema will help you understand that you're in a fancy restaurant, based on the tuxedos and golden toilets you see. Introduced by psychologist Jean Piaget, we have schemas for all sorts of situations. Schemas develop throughout our entire lives, though they're at their most prevalent when we're learning about something for the first time. But while schemas are extremely useful, they can steer us toward unwarranted biases or errors. Of course, they are uniquely personal to us depending on our experiences. Heuristics. While schemas help and hurt us in interpreting new situations, heuristics are more about how you fit into a new situation. If this is the situation, then I should act in this way. A heuristic will help you know exactly how to act in that fancy restaurant. We make hundreds of decisions every day. Most of them are small, ultimately trivial ones. What we'll have for lunch, what radio station we'll listen to on the way home, what grocery store we're going to shop at, and so forth. Unlike major life decisions that could have long-term consequences. We simply can't evaluate every last detail or possible ramification about small decisions. It would be a waste of valuable time and mental energy. That's where heuristics come in. They're mental guidelines based on past experiences that we use to make daily decisions that we can't delve deeply into. Think of heuristics as flashcards. They give us quick, abbreviated information to help us make speedy choices about daily decisions that we can't stop and deliberate over. Schemas and heuristics take less effort, energy, and time, and make everything simple. In fact, it forces simplicity upon complex matters, which isn't always helpful. They blind us to the nuanced realities that dwell underneath almost everything under the sun. Everything in this section culminates in the fact that there are 1.5 million perspectives one can have about anything, but you only start with one of them. To find reality, you need at least a few. You'll need to proactively seek them out, as they won't come naturally. This is all to say that you almost never have the whole story. Try to see your perspective as one bit of information to evaluate, and then search for the rest of it.
On behalf of Patrick King, this is Russell with Newton Media Group, and we thank you for allowing us to be with you today and for taking the time to listen to the podcast. If you'd like to check us out on other social media platforms, you can find us on YouTube and Facebook under Social Skills Coaching. Thanks again. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in a couple days. This has been The Independent Thinker, written by Patrick King, narrated by Russell Newton. Copyright 2021 by Patrick King. Production copyright by Patrick King.